Mick, and another part of the story is the story that we've been talking about on BBC News this evening, Pfizer warning of delays to the vaccine. What's going on with the Pfizer vaccine?
Well, what they're trying to do is they're trying to increase the capacity, how they can roll it out. So at the moment, there's 1.3 billion capacity that they can do in a year. They want to get that to 2 billion, and they want to be able to get it as wide and as fast as possible. To do so, they have to change the way that they have to pump it out and the way that they produce it. So there is going to be this short delay. Obviously, the EU, where they are waiting for stocks, we are waiting for stocks, but there's also the AstraZeneca jab that's been going out here as well. So you can see why there is concern, but at the same time it might be a short delay until more people can get their hands on it quicker. But at the moment there's that short-term pain that people are going to have to put up with in terms of supplies not getting out there.
Now we see on the front page of the FT Weekend that picture of a man getting vaccinated in a church, what looks like a church. The Yorkshire Post's weekend edition front page carries the story, ministers urged to speed up supply of vaccine to GPs. Now doctors are saying, look, you know, GPs are basically a great place to give vaccinations from because they are local, people can get to them quite easily, doctors are used to giving out vaccines, doctors and doctors' nurses. Rachel, why do you think GPs are not being supplied with the vaccines as quickly as they could be?
I think this government, and indeed previous governments, has a tendency to think on a big centralising scale. They want sort of shiny top-down projects, big vaccination super centres, which is what we've seen, and they ignore the more local community-led solutions, which are people on the ground who really know a local community being able to do that. And I think that's what you're seeing with GP surgeries. Also pharmacies, we've got a great piece in the New Statesman this week about pharmacies that say that they could also help with the vaccine effort, and like GPs are local, they're places that people know how to get to, you can get to by foot without needing to take public transport. They trust their local doctor or their local pharmacist, and they don't have to travel like they would to a new super centre. I think that that's something that the government's really going to have to, a resource that they're really going to have to tap into. The Yorkshire Post there has an interview with Tony Blair saying that they could be doing 5 million doses a week if they used these resources. It really is all hands on deck, and the government really needs to avoid this idea that it's only their one big centralising plan that can fix this, because it's going to take everyone.
Do you agree with that, Mick? Do you agree with Tony Blair?
Well, yeah, the other point he's making as well is that they need to cut down the time between authorising and getting the jabs out. And he says then that would also speed things up markedly. So when we get other vaccines coming online, we just need to get them out as soon as possible, already have the production ready, waiting to go. The good thing from this piece as well, just going on to the GPs, is there's a few of them quoted in this piece in the Yorkshire Post, and this is Yorkshire. I'm sure this is across the country, but they're all desperate to just get out there and do it. You know, some areas they're talking to GPs who have already done 10,000 over 80s, and they just want more of these jabs to get out there and do it. So there has been certain places where I've read where GPs have been worried about getting hold of it and have been mourning and things like that. But this lot is just positivity. They want more jabs, they want to get out there, and they want to get this done. And I think it's quite a positive piece when read from a certain way.
Let's go back to the FT Weekend, because the front page carries another story related to COVID. This is about the insurance industry, Rachel. Hundreds of thousands of UK businesses can now claim insurance payouts for COVID-related losses. This is a huge deal for those businesses impacted by this.
This is really a case of sort of David and Goliath, these small businesses, 370,000 of them, taking on the big insurers who said that their business interruption insurance, which is when you get insurance for something like, oh, I don't know, a disaster or a pandemic that means that you can't operate, they were refusing to pay out because they were saying things like maybe not all businesses were legally required to close, even when people were strongly advised not to go to them. And the court has just struck down the arguments of the insurance companies, and I think this is going to be a lifesaver for these small businesses, which is really important because we're talking a lot about the vaccine and the ability to maybe go back to some form of normality. We are going to need our hundreds of thousands of small businesses if we're going to have anything like a functioning economy, and this is a big step towards that.
Mick, what do you think?
Well, you have no sense of, if you're going to have an insurance policy and they don't want to pay out on something like this, well, what's the point of having insurance? It just loses all confidence in insurance if they'd have won that case. And it's a huge victory for the common man and woman who own businesses out there, because, you know, without this ruling, there would have been finished, a lot of them. So thank God that the Supreme Court made this ruling. Otherwise, what's the point of insuring anything?
Let's go to the Daily Mail, the front page. Harry's heart is broken. Speech marks there, obviously, because this is a quote from Tom Bradby. And he wasn't even being interviewed by the Daily Mail. It's an interview he was doing with Alan Titchmarsh for a show on ITV tomorrow, Rachel, in which he said that he believes that Prince Harry is heartbroken over his rift with the royal family. That's according to a close friend, inverted commas.
I'm finding it very, very difficult to care about this story, partly because it's not coming from the prince himself. It's from this source. Also because, well, family arguments always cause hurt and upset. I think that is true of every family. And also because I thought the whole point of Harry and Meghan leaving the official royal family and crossing the Atlantic was that we didn't have to agonise over their every move anymore. But maybe some people find it that it's a COVID-like relief. Maybe Mick cares about it more than I do.
Mick, what do you think? Do you care about it more than Rachel does? I mean, you know, the Daily Mail does love a royal story, but we all love a royal story, don't we, Mick?
Yeah, well, some of us do, but I think it's, for a lot of people, when you look at what's happening on the front pages of all the other papers, I think people will have the world's smallest violin for Harry and Meghan, and whether they're heartbroken or not. Yes, some people will have sympathy for them, but I think there's bigger fish to fry for most people at the moment. But if you remember, this time last year, it was just wall-to-wall Meghan and Harry, and we got a bit sick of them then. I think a lot of people are still sick of them now.
Do you think there's an appetite for royal stories on front pages anymore?
No, there certainly is, but I think sometimes on the front of the Express, for instance, we've got Prince William talking about how stressful it's been for some staff in the NHS over the last few years. I think they're the ones that we should have the sympathy with, rather than Harry, who's sitting in his nice mansion in America at the moment. OK,
Rachel Cunliffe and Mick Brooker, thank you very much, both of you, for joining us this evening. And thank you. That's it for the papers this hour. We'll have the latest sports roundup coming up next. That's it from me, though. Bye-bye.